Hey guys, this is clickbait. Just so you know, because I am an honest person, I'm not going to lie to you. So, yeah, this is clickbait. I'm extremely aware of the fact that I am extremely privileged in a lot of ways. And also, hello, like, I'm literally American. Like, we are, like, probably the most privileged people in the world, to be honest. So, yeah, I just got to put that out there. However, I'm using this podcast episode today to complain about my entire 2025, okay? I've had a lot of shit happen this year, and I hate saying it in that way too, by the way, because I am a strong believer in not conforming to victim mentality. And okay, there's a lot of ways that you could take what I just said. But what I mean by that is I'm fully aware of the way that I just said a lot of things happened to me this year. That in and of itself makes it seem like I have victim mentality. But no, I actually do not even like the phrasing of what I just said. Because when people often say that in society, I feel like, I don't know, a lot of times there are a lot of things that they played a role in that cause them to get to that point. So yeah, I'm not trying to not take accountability, but that being said, there have still been some fucking things that have happened this year, so I gotta tell you guys about it. And before I get into what the fuck has happened this year and why I haven't posted a podcast episode in many, many months, there's a reason. Oh my god, my microphone just fell. There's a reason as to why all of that has happened. Okay, so stick around. Okay. Want to tell you one thing though is I actually have a different setup right now. So I do usually have a microphone that I record these episodes on, and I like plug it into my computer and I record on like GarageBand, whatever, and then I export the file, post it on YouTube, whatever. But I actually am using this like microphone thingy that's like connected to my phone that basically my friend he like got me this as a random, not a random gift. I think it was like birthday gift or something like a year or two ago. And it's like one of those like street TikTok interview like microphone thingies. So I don't know how different the quality of the audio is. I'm assuming it's not as good, but what do I fucking know? I need to stop cursing. I actually don't curse at all in my real life, so I don't know why I'm acting like I need to be cursing right now. But anyways, um I'm gonna tell you all of the things that I've been up to this year and all the shit that I've been dealing with this year. And yeah, maybe not all of it. I probably won't go into too much detail, but hey, I have had quite the 2025. Can I just say, probably one of the hardest years of my life, if I'm being fucking honest. Sorry, I'm gonna stop cursing. But literally, what a horrible year for me. Don't get me wrong, there have been amazing things about this year as well. And also, something to note is I'm actually a very naturally optimistic person. Like, genuinely, and I'm not just saying that. I sound like I'm like, I don't know, I'm like deluding myself into thinking that I'm an optimistic person given everything I've just said in this episode so far, but I really genuinely am an optimistic person. Like I always see the positive in things, and anytime I'm going through something difficult, I really am always able to see the larger purpose as to why it's happening. And I'm a very long-term goal oriented person. I've always been that way my entire life. So like immediate instant gratification, it doesn't really fascinate me, I guess, in the way that it may do to some other people. But I think that has been a really good quality of mine that has really helped me persevere through things. And I think that adversity and persevering through adversity has been a really great thing that's helped me. However, I've had quite the year still. So let me tell you what I've been up to, okay? Let's see. So today, when I'm filming this, is November 13th. I hope this is still recording. Okay, it is. Cool. It's November 13th today. And let's see. Let's rewind, shall we? By the way, I'm not a good storyteller. And yeah, that's all I gotta say on that. But okay, let's rewind. January comes along, okay? January 3rd, I get dismissed from medical school. Y'all, like, if you've been like watching or listening to my previous podcast episodes, which I know none of you have because I've seen the view count, um yeah, I used to be kind of mysterious. Not used to be, I still would be actually, but I was mysterious about like the job slash career field that I was like interested in. not interested in, sorry, I was in, because I was in medical school when I was posting a lot of those podcast episodes. But yeah, I just didn't want to mention what I was doing exactly. Um, just, I don't know, just for the sake of privacy, and also because of actually a few different reasons. One also being that, I don't know, I know that like when you're a doctor, there's like some, I don't know. Sorry, I'm just like trying to think. This is such an unfiltered like episode. I usually don't do these, by the way. I usually edit things sometimes. Actually, most of the time. Um, oh, what I was gonna say. Oh, and okay, yeah, I need to stop. um, what? I'm sorry, my bracelet is like falling. What I was gonna say is the reason why I didn't really want to mention it though online is because I don't know, when you're a doctor, I feel like there are a lot of professional standards that are put on you, including like, maybe not sharing your personal opinion so publicly and things of that nature. And I didn't want my personal identity and what I post online to get back to me in some way, because I don't know, there's honestly a lot that I could say about that topic, but I also don't think it even matters anymore because ha ha ha, I got dismissed from medical school for academic reasons. I want to clarify, not for professional reasons, but yeah, there's a whole story behind that. I realized I am horrible at memorizing. I'm really good at critical. Okay, that sounds so fucking cocky. Oops, I didn't even say the right words. Fucking cocky. I'm not gonna curse anymore. I'm sorry. I don't ever curse. I actually don't know why I feel so edgy today. Ew, not to say that cursing is edgy. Anyways, but yeah, I actually, what was I saying? Oh my god, this episode's a mess. Oh, but yeah, what I was saying was that I realize I am not good at memorization. I am a lot better at critical thinking, which is something that I really missed in medical school because there was honestly no critical thinking involved during my preclinical experience. Um, and I think that is what I actually excel in and thrive in, but I do not like nor am I able to memorize things, bro. I have the worst. Hello? Okay, we're back. Sorry, I don't know what happened. I have the worst memory, bro. Like actually worst memory, and I never realized how bad my memory was until recently. By recently I mean this past year. And I never realized how bad my memorization skills and abilities were. And I think there's this really strong misconception that, doctors are really smart. Don't get me wrong, they are smart, okay? But at least from my preclinicals experience, my experience in preclinicals, whatever. There's honestly, it's mostly just memorization and the ability to retain information more so than like critical thinking. And yes, I of course know that there is critical thinking skills involved once you get to clinicals and residency and etc. and actually being a doctor. But I don't think it's as crazy of an intelligence requirement as you might think, or as much as people might think in general. But anyways, I don't want to dwell too much on this right now because I actually just want to tell you what the fuck is. Sorry for cursing. Actually just want to tell you what's going on in my life. Okay, so I'm gonna gloss over the med school dismissal thing because honestly, that's a whole episode on its own, and I have actually filmed episodes about this multiple times earlier in the year, but I did not end up releasing them. Anyway, so January 3rd, I get dismissed from medical school. Sometime in January, I also get diagnosed with ADHD, which should have been kind of obvious from this episode alone, given how scatterbrained I've been. And I have so many thoughts about ADHD and fucking how mad, I'm not cursing, how mad I am that I didn't know about this sooner. It literally would have changed my whole life. I'm not kidding, okay? Like, it makes me so mad when I think about it. and it really explains a lot for me as well. And I'm going to make a whole other episode on ADHD and how it's affected me, etc. Whatever, okay? Anyways, so that's January, okay? I get diagnosed with ADHD. I do a computer test. Turns out I'm 100% uh, what was that TikTok audio? I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, I got diagnosed with ADHD because I did a computer test and like some other survey related things and questionnaires. I don't know. Anyways, that's January. I mean, kind of, light work. I mean, the career that I've been spending my entire life and career trying to build up to, falling apart right in my hands, right? But whatever, we'll get through it. February rolls along, and can I just say, this was the month of emotional turmoil, okay? Because, and no, okay, actually, don't get me wrong, I actually had some great moments and memories from earlier in this year, actually, throughout the whole year, to be honest, but February rolls along, and my childhood friend, like, we were childhood best friends, okay? And we basically have this big, I guess you could say, friendship breakup. But the thing is like, she has. I actually don't even want to get into this because there's just so much there. But let's just say she was not a good friend. She's not a good person. She has huge victim mentality, and also, she has shaded me and my friend group publicly 30-ish times probably on her YouTube channel, and she posts all this content that's like extremely opposite of how she is in real life, and she's honestly like never been a good friend. But I basically confronted her about something, and then it turned into this whole other thing, and I don't know, I have so many receipts, I can't go into it right now, honestly, for my own sanity and for your guys' sanity too, because it's so long. I actually did film episodes about that too, and I also didn't release those. But yeah. So that was February, and that stuff lasted from like February until like, I don't even know, like months later after that. But February was the start of that. March was more of that. Um I don't know. I feel like it was just insane, and trust me when I say like the way that I'm explaining what happened with that friend, it was like crazy, okay? Like, I didn't, like, I really was, I'm a logical person, and I'm a very level-headed person. Like, I can view things very objectively, but that friend was clearly like in an emotional state and was not thinking logically, I guess, and I don't think she still is. And it was just like, I don't even know. Like, there's only so much you can do with someone like that, and I think like her parents are even, this is a family friend, or used to be a family friend, I guess, but like her parents are like struggling to figure out what to do with her at this point because they have had like so many experiences with her now where she's like, I don't know, like being extremely disrespectful towards them too. I mean, she yelled at me and my friends multiple times. Like, I don't even want to get into that. Anyways, that lasted through, I don't know, like June, September, I don't even know. But anyway, so that was that point of the year, okay? Yeah, so that was a good amount of the year. And then, okay, and then, oh my god, I'm like losing track of what I was saying. So, okay, let's rewind. January, med school dismissal, ADHD diagnosis. Oh, and so in med school, I was living in a different city than my hometown, and I ended up basically just living at home for 3 months until I got a new job. Well, not new job, until I got a job because I still had my apartment in the city I was living in before I moved back home, which is also like the same area as like where I currently live, actually. So I was living at home for 3 months until April, and then I got a job. So that's like one good thing, I guess. I got a job, but it wasn't like a job that I want, or now that I know because I've been here for a while, like. But I got a job, and I'm very fortunate to have one in this economy, even though I get paid like pennies, literally pennies, and like nothing. I'm very happy and fortunate about it. About Sorry, fortunate to have a job. I know. So yeah. Anyways, so I've been working there since April, and I'm now currently living in the same area that I was living in, like while I was in medical school. So anyways, some context, whatever. And so then here's the thing, right? I have ADHD, as you guys now know, and I think that, and I, again, I'm going to talk about this in a whole other episode, but I think that having ADHD for me helps me in the sense that I can get over things kind of quickly. And okay, that's not necessarily true because the thing with my no longer friend, like that haunted me for months. And I went through so many phases where I was so angry internally, and I had so much anger and rage, and I wasn't even sad. I was just angry, honestly, because of the way that everything happened, and I had no way to express it. I couldn't really like talk to my friends about it much, and I it would just like consume me to the point where I was like, okay, like I know how to process healthy emotions, and I have developed by now at the age of now 24, which is crazy that I'm 24. I've developed really good ways, honestly, of managing my emotions in a healthy way. And I think it's come to, only help me now because it did work, with this friendship breakup. You know, I, because I had some of my other friends in that friend group of mine. I'm still really amazingly good friends with those people. We're still very close. But some of my friends, though, in the group, like they would kind of just like pretend, not pretend like that it didn't exist, like what everything that happened and stuff with that friend. It's not like they pretended like it didn't happen. It was more like they just kind of put it to the side, in the back of their mind, because it was just so like infuriating to them that they just didn't want to think about it. Like they were just like not interested in even thinking about it, because if they did think about it, it would just make them mad or upset or sad, and so they just kind of put it off to the side. And I personally, at this point in my life, I have realized that that's not a good way for me personally. I'm not saying that that's always the case, but for me, I know that's not a good way to manage my personal emotions. For me, again, I'm just emphasizing for me, because it always comes back to bite you later, which I do think is honestly true. But yeah, and I am very glad that I processed all of those strong, angry emotions out of the way, got it out of the way and out of my system earlier on in the year, I would say. I think it honestly was making me really mad, like the whole situation, until like July ish or so, June or July. And after that, I kind of stopped caring as much. And now it doesn't even bother me anymore, and it doesn't ignite much emotional anything as much anymore. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So that happened, right? But my main point that I'm gonna circle back to now is that having ADHD, it does help in terms of getting over things, not in this like friendship breakup sense, like emotionally in that way, but more so as in things like careers. Because for me, like I will hyper focus on a career, and that's all I want. That's what I think I want. That's all I want. And then the second it doesn't like work out for me, because I did take my med school dismissal as a sign that it's not meant for me. Um, because honestly, my strengths weren't super aligned with the whole memorization thing. But anyways, once I get that sign that it's not meant for me, I can find the next thing and I will hyper focus on that. And I no longer even care about that previous career that I was super interested in, no matter how long I was interested in it. So, like, for example, with med school, I literally my entire life, I thought I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a doctor. And I like it's not a bad choice, for me necessarily, but it just didn't work out, and that's okay. And I came to terms with that honestly very early on after my dismissal, probably that same week. I was like, yeah, okay. But yeah, and so then I latched on to the idea of this other really niche healthcare field that's kind of similar, but not as many people know about it. And well, I applied to programs, quite a few programs. I only heard back from like one school for an interview, and it was actually my dream school. I really wanted to go to this school, okay? And I interviewed, and honestly, I thought the interview went really well, but the issue that I guess I came across was that I had 6 interviews with six different interviewers. And sorry, I was like thinking about something else. And basically, I would say like 5 out of the 6 interviewers, they asked me questions all about my med school. dismissal. And keep in mind, each interview was like maybe 20 minutes long each. So 5 out of the 6 interviewers are asking me mainly just questions about my med school dismissal, why it happened. Which, don't get me wrong, it's valid. Like, it makes sense. Obviously, like, it is a big risk to take someone on who had a medical school dismissal on their application. Even though all of my other qualifications I think are pretty good, like, I understand. Like, it makes sense, but I was just kind of a little annoyed because I was like, okay, like, you didn't even ask me questions about my experiences on my resume or my application. Like, that was like the main focus, the med school dismissal. And I don't know. I also just don't believe in the idea that time means that you're more mature now and therefore we should maybe consider accepting you more now. Like, I don't like what I mean by that is, like, if I had applied to these programs like maybe like 2 or 3 years later after my dismissal, maybe they would have been more inclined to believe what I had to say when I responded to their questions about my dismissal. But to be honest, I think that's a fallacy that, like, time okay, and I okay, let me backtrack. I do understand that. It makes sense for a lot of people, that is the case. Like, you need time to be able to properly mature, but I feel like, I don't know, at the age that I'm at right now, like, like, I don't think that's necessarily the case, and I think it is more of an individual basis kind of thing. I think that I personally feel like I am a very mature person. I know that sounds extremely, like, okay, if you say that, you're probably not that mature. Um, Kind of like cocky or narcissistic in a way. And hey, I don't know, but I feel like the way that I have proven to handle my emotions and react in situations and actually, you know, be, in terms of actions, I feel like they show that I am a mature person. But I do understand their, like, concerns. And I did at the end, my last interview. Okay, so my last interview was with the program director, and he basically was like, basically trying to get me to state my case as to why I should be admitted, given the fact that I have this med school dismissal on my application. And I was just like, oh, like, bro, just accept me. Okay, I'm a really good worker. I try hard. I don't know, like, I'm not a try hard. Okay, don't get me wrong, but, like, I do really value education and I love learning, bro. If bro, in my ideal world, I'm like stuttering. In my ideal life, I would have a PhD in philosophy. Okay, I would love to just, like, learn and learn and learn endlessly. But I that's not the life that I have right now. So, anyways, so yeah, my main point, and I'm getting, I cannot speak today. I'm getting into my main biggest thing of this whole year when I talk about this interview, but give me a second. So I what was I even saying? My brain is so scatterbrained. Okay, so I do this interview. I got rejected 2 days later. And here's the thing, I would have been okay with that, but there's one big circumstance that has happened throughout this whole year. Okay, not throughout the whole year, but half of the year, that has been very difficult. Before I get into that one, though, give me a second. There's one more thing I wanted to mention. So while I was applying to these programs, there's also another niche healthcare field that I really, really wanted to apply to and am interested in applying to. And it's very niche, and I had that plan in my mind that I was going to apply to these two, like, niche healthcare fields. And so I've been starting to send applications in this semester, and the thing is, like, the wait is, like, killing me. Okay, like, it's actually driving me insane. But I got a rejection from one of them. um, to be fair, that university, I have heard, is not a very good one, and they kind of seem to sometimes reject people, not on a whim necessarily, but it kind of seems like it sometimes. That sounds like I'm just coping, but anyways, let me lead in to what the biggest circumstance of this year was, though. Okay, are you ready? Okay. Well, so the reason why I was so upset about my um interview rejection from that one program I was telling you guys about with the 6 interviewers. The reason why I was so upset was because my dad got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And it's actually not a great cancer either. It's a rare cancer. Literally like 1 in 100,000 people get this kind of cancer, so pretty rare. And it is known for being aggressive as well. And yeah, you would have never, seen it coming. Like, literally, he just happened to be getting like a CT scan done or MRI or something, and they found it, but they didn't even report it until like 2 months later, which is actually so infuriating. But yeah, so he got diagnosed with cancer. So there were kind of like some speculations in July that he might have something like a mass there, you know, and he, went to an amazing like cancer center to get that not treated, well, treated, yes, but get it checked out to see what it was. And he got his results back, and they were like, yeah, it's stage 4. Well, they didn't say it was stage 4. They didn't explicitly tell us a number, but you can definitely infer that it's stage 4 because it has also spread to his lungs, which is fabulous. It's just okay, I will say there were only like 2 or 3 lung nodules, and they're pretty small, I would say. So I think that is hopeful. I'm trying to like view things positively and optimistically. Okay, I am an optimistic person by nature, but yeah. So he has cancer, and I honestly feel so bad for him. It's not a genetic kind of cancer either. It's just like one of those sporadic ones. Um, and honestly, the only way again he would have found out about it was through, just testing by chance, which was what happened to him. Luckily, the main tumor was smaller than, I guess, the average stage 4 uh person would be of his kind. I think it's like half the size actually of what it usually is for people when they get diagnosed. Because I did a lot of research, so I know this. So I am happy. Oh, I don't know about happy, but I am grateful for that it's at least somewhat earlier on. But that has been quite difficult to navigate. I mean, I actually remember exactly where I was when I found out about this. I went to Lollapalooza this year, so that's actually one good thing that happened this year, and actually a great thing. And I remember literally the day I was coming back from Chicago, I was heading to the airport with my friend. She was gonna drop me off at the train station, or drop me off. I mean, by drop me off, I mean walk with me to the train station because her hotel that I was staying at, it was like walking distance from the train station. So we're like walking there, and literally, like, I get the text from my mom that's like, "This is urgent. Answer. Why aren't you answering?" And I'm like, "What's going on?" I text her back, and I'm like, "What's going on?" And she tells me that it's confirmed that he has that cancer. And so I'm like, oh, great. And so, yeah, I did tell my friend because she was walking with me and was obviously upset, but I was trying my best to like hide that. And I'm pretty good at hiding those kinds of things from the outside. But yeah, and then she dropped me off. I get on the train. This train is supposed to take me to the airport. And I'm just sitting in the corner. I have my sunglasses on, and I'm just like crying quietly in the corner. And I basically cried all the way during that entire train ride. I don't even remember the airport experience at all because I was so traumatized and just thinking about this. And then, on the plane, I had a fucking aisle seat. Sorry, not cursing. Okay, again, I swear I won't curse again. But, um, yeah, I was literally, unfortunately, in the aisle seat. So I was wearing my sunglasses on in the airplane, or sometimes I would take it off, but I would just be low key crying throughout the whole flight. And then the next day, I like called off work, stayed in my apartment the whole day, cried. I have never cried that much in my entire life. I was genuinely like so distraught. And then I, obviously cried for the rest of the week as well. Now I just try not to think about it too much. And I'm a very optimistic person. So I honestly don't think about it too much in a negative way because I don't know. I really have to stay positive for my own sanity. But that was the biggest thing of this year. And there's a reason why I'm mentioning all this, and it's because my dad, well, actually, okay, let me backtrack and then I'll tell you why. But my dad has actually been doing a 6 cycle chemo regimen. So he's going to get his 5th cycle actually, I think next week. So he'll be coming back to where I am to be getting that done. And yeah, so here's some positive news. Okay, so basically, the way that his thing works is after each 2 cycles. So basically, I should clarify: 1 cycle is 3 weeks long, and so there's 6 cycles total. So there's 18 weeks total of this regimen before he gets transferred on to whatever else he's going to be doing. But since it's stage 4, they have to do chemo. So yeah, so after each 2 cycles, they'll be having CT scans done to see how the chemo is affecting the cancer, if at all, if it is changing at all. And so usually with his type of cancer, the primary goal is to just aim for stability, meaning the doctor is just hoping that the tumor size doesn't change and get worse, because that's, I don't know, shrinkage and stuff like that is not super common sometimes with this cancer. So the goal is just to get it to stay the same and be stable, okay? So, after his first 2 cycles, when he got his first CT scan done ever, which by the way, I think it's kind of interesting too, because we don't really have any other way of knowing how his cancer is progressing or decreasing also, other than CT scans. Like blood work doesn't really show a full picture. It doesn't really show you anything, to be honest, about how it's actually directly affecting the cancer, which is kind of insane. But anyways, so he got his first 2 cycles done. He did a CT scan, and thank God it did actually decrease the tumor and the nodules by a little bit, not by a huge amount, but that is huge, because with this cancer, that's not always very common at all. Most of the time, it's either cancer patients have it be stable or it increases. So I was so relieved to hear that. You have no idea. And on top of that, it looks like the lung nodules have kind of changed in shape in a way where the doctor didn't say it, but I know from reading the CT report that it could imply that some kind of necrosis is happening, which means like the cells internally inside the tumor, like nodule things, whatever, are dying. That's my hope. Another interesting sign that I picked up on is my dad's appetite did not decrease. If anything, I felt like it increased like while on chemo. And so his tumor mass is actually like in his like lower right abdominal region. So maybe it was like, affecting his appetite and those hormones and everything. But anyways, that's an interesting thing to note. Oh, I don't want to go talk about that too much though, like his whole cancer journey. I'm just gonna tell you guys right now he's fine. Actually, he's on short-term disability leave. But the reason why I mentioned that though is it's clearly been a very like vulnerable emotional thing for me. And now I think that my career related stuff, it doesn't feel like it's just for me anymore. It's more like I don't know. So, okay, I'm gonna give you some more backstory. Bear with me, okay? But when I was in high school, my dad didn't really care about my school stuff at all. My mom did. She did. She definitely did. But my dad was like very uninvolved in that. And then I think my dad like had like a midlife crisis or something, and he suddenly started like, I don't know, being on the computer every night until like 3 a.m., which by the way, my dad has undiagnosed ADHD 100%. That's a side note. But anyways, he would just be sitting there just like Googling and like researching like all of the classes I was gonna take and all these med school application things and like just like career related things in general. Mostly because I don't think he had any other purpose in his life. Like that sounds like harsh, but like it's kind of true. I feel like a lot of older adults of our previous generation, like generation, I don't know, like a lot of older adults, they kind of go through that, I guess, because they don't realize that life is meant to be actually lived, and you're supposed to actually have a purpose outside of work and kids and other, I don't know. I actually have a lot of thoughts on that, but I don't want to get into that right now. But anyways, so when I was in college, that was what he was doing, and I would get so annoyed by that because I would be like, can you just stay out of it. I am more than old enough to deal with this by myself. And like he was never like forcing me to do things. He would just more so just get excited and hyperfixate on things related to my academics and career because again, he had nothing else interesting going on in his life. That sounds so mean, but it's like true. Like I don't mean that in a mean way. I just mean it in an honest way because like he really like would just come home after work, take a nap, like I don't know. That's a whole other discussion. I don't really want to talk about that right now because that's not the main point of this episode. But what I was gonna say is I would just get really annoyed by that honestly about talking about school and I would never like willingly talk about school things and stuff like that with him just because it would just like annoy me. I don't really know. I know why, but that's not the main point of what I'm trying to say though, right? So once he like got diagnosed with cancer, I felt obviously so sad, but I felt specifically so sad for him because he's gone through so many things in his life. You know, like both of his parents died at a young age. I mean, he moved to America at like 17. Um, living with my mom is such a treat. My mom is a narcissistic person. Like genuinely, I think she would get diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. But the thing is she would definitely outsmart all the therapists in that way, so they would never even pick up on it. But that's a whole other thing. But I just feel so bad for the way that my dad's been treated throughout life and everything, and it's just so unfair, honestly, and made me really sad. But anyways, the reason why I mention all of this, okay, there's a reason, okay, I didn't forget it, is that so he's on short-term disability leave right now. He won't be going back to work until January of next year. And as a result of that, he's just at home all the time. And I felt really bad for him because I was like, I obviously don't know what it's like to live with cancer, but I do know that he's just at home all day every day and I'm sure like if you don't really have anything meaning okay, I don't want to say meaningful, like if you don't have something that you're doing in your life all the time that's like fulfilling in a way, then life feels meaningless. And I think that for him, I noticed that every single day he would not really do anything, if that makes sense, and not because of his cancer but just because that's just how he's been even before the cancer. Like he would just come home after work and like not really do anything, not really have many friends. Like I don't really know. It honestly makes me really sad. But my main reason as to why I'm mentioning this though is because I was like, okay, if he's at home all day every day, I personally would think that it's only natural that he would just be thinking about and obsessing over his cancer all the time, and I didn't want that. So I wanted to give him like some kind of distraction because again, I know he has ADHD, like he definitely does. But I wanted to give him a distraction, so I would start talking to him about school things, and then he would suddenly start getting very invested in that again. And I mean, that did backfire on me, but yeah, so flash forward to my interview. Okay, there was a reason why I mentioned all this. Flash forward to my interview when I hear that I got rejected from the school, and I honestly am very certain it was because of my dismissal, which is honestly really frustrating because I am truly a good applicant other than that, and it's really unfortunate, but whatever. I do understand their decision, but it's just really sad, honestly. But anyways, like when when I saw that, I was at work, you know, when I saw the email, and I just wanted to well, not wanted to, I literally like was tearing up and I just had to go to the bathroom, and I was just like really upset. And it's not because I was sad about my career, it was because I was sad for my dad. Like I just kept picturing my dad sitting in the patio. He because throughout this whole experience, he's just been like the chemo experience. He's just been sitting in the patio every day and FaceTiming me, or I'll FaceTime him and like watching videos. And I don't know, just like the image of like him previously being so happy to talk about these school things and career things because he actually had something to think of and talk about other than his cancer. That to me, I don't know. And then suddenly picturing him being so, or sorry, just thinking about how he would then hear about and find out that I didn't get into this program that he'd been really happily thinking about and very happy to hear, you know, progress in. I don't know what the phrasing of what I'm trying to say is, but I don't know. It was just like, it made me really upset to think about him receiving that news because I know that he was really invested in it, and especially given his condition, it was just such a hard image for me to mentally picture in my head, emotionally speaking. And so I did tell him, and obviously he was sad, and then he was definitely not saying some great things. But also like that was definitely influenced by my mom, not really him necessarily. But anyways, so then that happened, and then that other niche field that I was telling you guys about, where I had been applying to programs this semester and stuff, that I'd also been really interested in. I submitted applications, and most of them I probably won't hear back from until this next spring. But I did hear back from that one school that I told you guys about that was like, not like really that great. But they rejected me, and I told my dad, and I mean, I don't know. I think he's just kind of in a more he's thinking of it in a logical way, but also more of an emotional way in some senses, and he's saying things that I don't think you should say to your kid. And my mom has said significantly worse than my dad has on the topic of my career, but I don't know. Like it makes sense why my dad feels that way, but I am really dead set on that field, and so I'm just honestly, and this is going into current modern day 2025, is that I just feel so lost right now. Genuinely, I've never felt this upset. And here's the okay, that's not true. But like here's the thing though, is I am so fully aware of the fact that money is a social construct. I've never valued money that like that. I've never cared about it much. It's never been significant to me, but suddenly I just feel like my life feels so directionless, and I never thought it would in this kind of way necessarily. And I just want a school acceptance. I want stability. I want security because I don't know, I just want peace of mind. Like honestly, I just want some level of stability and security and peace of mind so that way I don't have to continuously think about the unknown all the time and how my life doesn't feel like it has any strong direction anymore. And despite all of the difficult times in med school was horrible, like one of the worst experiences of my life for me, but I think that at the very least I had peace of mind and security in my mind, and that's what kept me going. But now that I don't have that anymore in my life, I've been really struggling, and I don't know. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I really want to get into this niche field so badly, but I'm just really it's really difficult honestly, and I don't know. It's been hard for me to navigate. I usually when I'm here in the city that I live in right now, I love after work going to like different coffee shops and going to different cute little stores and like window shopping and whatever, but I don't even feel the energy to leave my apartment anymore, and I'm not depressed. Like I've never experienced depression very fortunately, but I don't know. I think it's like just frustrating, I think, is what it is. And here's another factor. I also just don't like my job. Like it's just so stressful all the time, and I think they just underpay us and overwork us, which is, corporate America at its finest. My job is like clinical research related. So it's not related, it is clinical research. And I always knew I didn't like it in college. And this is like a different type of clinical research, I will say. But honestly, I know for sure that I don't like it, and some people at my okay, not some people, but a couple of people at my office, they take it so seriously. And okay, I understand it's serious. Okay, it is a serious thing, but they just say things. Okay, so one of them says honestly some passive aggressive things when they're not in the best mood. And then the other person like her points and her messages, they're good points and good messages to bring up, but I'm like, you could say this in a different way. Like you don't have to say it in like a rude way or like a condescending way or in the way that you're saying it in. But everyone else at work has been great. Like honestly, everyone else, all my other coworkers are really nice and cool, and my manager is really nice too. It's just those two people, and honestly, that one person in particular, like the person who could phrase things differently and seems a little emotionally immature to me. I think like she's actually part of the reason why I want to quit. But also, it's just like stressful, and it's just not interesting to me. And I really want to get into this field so bad, like the one that I'm trying to get into, because I think my math skills and my creativity and problem solving skills would really be helpful. But I don't know. It's just my main point here. Okay, I'm getting so sidetracked, but my main point is I am so exhausted of working so hard my entire life. I've always been an extremely hard worker throughout my entire life, and I really do think I'm very like creative and intelligent, and I really have so many things I want to do with my life, and I have so many things I want to do to help other people, and it's just like I wish the world would take a chance on me and actually let me create something that would benefit people, because I really, really would love to help people in some way. Like, I'm not just talking about like a band aid solution to end poverty, I mean like a real solution. Is my microphone off or on? I can't tell. Hello. Anyways, I don't know if it's on, but yeah, I have so many like ideas and creative thoughts and things I want to do with my life, and not just my life, but to actually help people. I know people always say that, but like genuinely believe me when I say I have so many things that I have in mind that I want to do to help people, specifically people in poverty. Um I think that is something that I'm honestly really interested in trying to like work towards, but have I can't do that until I have money, and I don't know. I need money in order to do that. I also want to be financially free. I want to support my family. I want to be there for them. I mean, my parents are going through a hard time. My family's going through a hard time. I'm going through a difficult time. Like, I just want to be financially free and actually be able to do things that I want to do. I did go on a Europe trip, actually a month ago. It was great. That sounds so contradictory to what I just said. I cannot speak today. I'm sorry. But I actually just probably just went into more debt. I went into more debt going on that trip because I was like, I need to do at least one good thing for myself, because money is a fake social construct, and I don't personally usually ever get stressed about things that are fake social constructs because they're not real, and therefore why would I care about something that people made up? Um that's my motto, and I actually have so many opinions and thoughts on that, and I actually want to make a book about that exact thing, but more in a philosophical way. But that'll be once I'm actually financially free and actually have stability in my life. But I don't have that right now. So, anyways, my point is, I just wish the world would take a chance on me and actually allow me to make a difference in the world, because I know I could do it if you gave me the chance. God, please give me the chance. Like, I have so many things I want to do, and I am very passionate about helping people, and I'm not just saying that. I really truly am. But I can't do anything with no money, because unfortunately, yeah. I actually have more to say, but I don't want to get into all that right now. But that has been my life. I've just been so like I've been feeling so stuck and so sad in a lot of ways, and upset with the way that things are and things the way that things have been in my life, and it's been really hard. Um and I don't know, I just miss the optimism that I had in college. I miss having the idea that my life is going to go in such a positive way. I still have that belief 100%. But right now there are just so many obstacles that are just like so frustrating, and I just want to get in to the field that I'm trying to get into so badly. Or I just need money, bro. I have so much debt, bro. I have med school debt. I've got college debt. I'm in so much debt. If I just was given like, I don't know, $1 million, I would do so many things with it, and probably most of it would just be paying off debt and supporting my family, and then I don't know, saving for school still, because I would still want to go to school, and then like that field, and then I would honestly create my ways of um ending poverty, or at least trying my best to do that. I don't know. I've just been so stuck, and I'm just wondering if any of you guys have felt this way recently, because I have been. I've been out of college for 2 years, 2.5 years now, I guess, technically. And it's just been so hard. I really, really miss the optimism that I used to have in high school and in college. I still have optimism, but it's just not as much, unfortunately. So that is the end of this episode. Sorry to leave it on such a depressing, sad note. I have a lot more to say on all the topics that I mentioned today, but I will save them for future episodes, because this is a general gist of what I've been up to. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. My microphone's about to die.